Amy. Amy says, how do you connect to your faith during dark times? Do you use faith to help you through pain, physical or mental? And Mark, if you could put it up on the screen, that'd be great. Or I'm sorry, LB. we have some lovely tech folks. Mark and LB are helping us out, so you all can see the question again up here. But would either of you like to answer that question? I know
Sure.
We're going right into the faith conversation.
That's a good question.
Yes, very good question.
I'll start. I think for a long time I had a very tough relationship with religion and spirituality because of the way I was brought up. I was brought up in a Pentecostal household, so everything was fire and brimstone, and you're going to hell and you're a terrible person. So for a while, I really rejected religion and I rejected spirituality and didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I could tell during that time, that's when sort of the light went out inside of me, and I just sort of went down this dark spiral and into heavy drinking and drugs and that sort of thing, because I wasn't connected, because I let my past and my childhood and my experience affect how I felt and how I existed in life. But there was always something, whenever there were dark times, I was always looking to a higher power, and I didn't want to admit to myself that I was looking into a higher power to get me out of what I was in. So a lot of times music for me is a way to get through the dark times. And it's spiritual music, and it's music that's kind of controversial, especially in the LGBTQ community, because it's Christian music. I appreciate Christian music and Christianity for the message that it's trying to send, but it might not be sending correctly. Especially when you get to fire and brimstone, going to hell and that sort of thing. But the beautiful things that come out of it, like loving one another and loving yourself and, connecting with something that's greater than yourself. I love that. Like, it brings me joy and it gives me hope. So one of the things I listen to connect with my faith, or one of the things I do is connect with music. And then when I'm connected with music and I'm connected with my higher power and I'm being my most authentic self, which is through performing, that gets me through. If I'm not performing, or if I'm not existing in a space where I can express myself, that's when things go dark. So I try to, again, listen to music to get me out of that, and also do things that connect me with my higher power, which to me is through art and performance.
Thank you. The Dragon King?
Yeah. Through the process of going through the Catholic school system, through growing up with Jewish relatives, growing up with Lutheran relatives, I am a baptized Lutheran, and I don't go to church, and I'm still trying to figure out, like, if I even want to, like, identify under a specific religion. But the thing that I do believe in the soul. Like, I do believe that, like, that imprints of ourselves linger. I live in a very haunted house, so I'm very convinced of this. This used to be a convent. This is over 100 years old. The nuns get feisty sometimes. And because of that, it's like, okay, there is a soul. I can at least believe that there is some higher power. And I wish I could remember the name of this ruler, but I'm reminded of, it was like a clip of a Muslim ruler speaking to a Christian. And it was basically him saying, like, you see this torn tapestry, there are many holes and the sunlight shines through in different ways. Your God is a just different shining of the same light. And that is what I most believe in. That is what I take the most comfort in, that, like, I don't believe in specific religions going to hell because they don't follow the same practice. I just try to be as kind to everyone as humanly possible and hope that there is some higher power, that my beliefs on the soul are correct, and then just that we can just try our best to be kind to one another. And that's what I try to hold with me when things do get dark and things get scary in the outside world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for myself, I think that that's one of the things that I've always found so frustrating about religion in general, especially as someone who grew up being like bullied for being different. You're just like, it's just that idea of like, oh, my religion's the only right religion, and if you're not like falling in line with that and you're not doing what my religion tells you to do, then you're going to hell. Like, first of all, like, that just like, when you look at like the underlying messages of a lot of different religions, and a lot of them are very similar, so it's sort of like, okay, well, if there's all these underlying messages that are very similar, well, who's to say is the right one versus the wrong one? I think it's just like, I think if there's this like underlying message of like, be a good person and try and like ultimately you're responsible for your own life, the good and the bad. And so like, it's all about how you approach that, or what side, if you choose to live in a negative way and put negativity out into the world, then most likely that's what's going to come back to you, or, vice versa. And so this, honestly, for me, sometimes I get like, I don't know if I necessarily believe in this whole idea of like heaven or hell, and that like however we choose to live here is like determines where we're going to go in that next part. Like, the reality is that like, I don't know, like, and I think that most people don't know. But what I do know is that in certain parts of my life, it definitely felt like I was living in hell, right? Like, and so if I change the way that I go through my life, if I change what I'm putting out into the world, if I change my perspective on things, if I work on changing myself, then all of a sudden I can find like, what I found is especially like through performance and that sort of stuff, that like sometimes I can access that like heaven on earth. Sometimes I'm in that place where things feel really, really good, and it's like bliss. And so for me, I just like focus on trying to be present in the moment rather than thinking about what's going to happen when I'm dead, because I'm not there. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I agree. If I can add to that, both with what the Dragon King said and Bobby Friday make very good points. Someone asked a question about, do you subscribe to a specific religion? I absolutely don't. And I think for me, and in my opinion, I'm sort of group averse anyway, because I think what happens is we have all these different religions around the world. Everyone thinks they're right. And what happens in that is, if you don't follow that particular religion, then all those different groups start fighting each other because you're not doing what they think you're supposed to be doing. I think not following religion and being a free people as we are, we're free to exist, we're free to practice religion, and we're free not to practice religion. For me, it's very freeing not to practice a religion, but to find my own path, to connect to my higher power as I see that higher power. And through that, it's living, it's performing, it's connecting with people, it's connecting with our environment, it's trying to just be a good person without telling other people, well, if you don't do it my way, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Robert in the comments says, take what works and screw the rest, which is a lot of what we heard. There was also a comment from Angel, aka Linda Summers, who said, through prayer and meditation, who answered the question that you all were posed, through prayer and meditation, but knowing that sometimes I might not get the answers that I want, but understanding that the effort that goes into prayer and meditation is is tapping into that power that's pure love and forgiving.